Hi, welcome to Owl About Yarn, episode 4. It's Saturday the 9th of May 2015. I'm Jenny, also known as Jenster79 on Ravelry, and Owl About Yarn pretty much everywhere else. Sections today are works in progress, finished objects, acquisitions, plans, shop news and loose ends. So let's dive straight into it. Works in progress. I've done a fair bit this week, but when I came to look at it, it didn't look as if it was a lot. So maybe I've been doing more in my head, more planning. I've been spinning. I've done a bit more of my Sarah's Texture Crafts Polworth. I've started the second half of the braid, but I didn't get very far, and that's still on my wheel, so I didn't bother bringing that up to show you. I think last week I told you I was going to start a pair of socks, a pair of Jaywalkers by Grumperina on Ravelry, and I have started them, and it's using this yarn which is tie-dye socks, which is 80% superwash wool and 20% nylon. That's the label. I'm using 2mm needles because I'm quite a loose knitter and my gauge is always way off. I always have to go down a couple of needle sizes. So that's zigzagging up quite nicely. I'm really hoping, apparently a couple of people have said that they've had gauge problems with it and fit problems because of the zigzag. It tends to send it off, so I'm hoping that it'll fit. But I mean, it's stretchy that way as well as, so it should be okay. I think it'll be okay. Anyway, I haven't knit very much on that today. I've been doing other things today, but I've got a little lobster clasp, which I keep meaning to put a little owl on, and I keep forgetting, but I will get round to that. So that's one work in progress. The other one, which I started yesterday, using my hand spun, and that's my Blueface Leicester, I don't remember what it's called, but I've still got some in the shop, and it's pink and purple, and it'll be on my project page on Ravelry as well, using 2.25mm Knit Pro Symphony needles. Here's a bonbon bunny. At the moment it kind of looks a bit more like a woolly bonbon bunny massacre, but I've done both feet, both arms, a fluffy tail. You can't really see. That's in, that's in Sirdar Snowdrop, I think it's called, because I thought it looked like a bunny's tail, and one ear. So one more ear, and then I get to start knitting the body and attaching it all together, so that'll be really cool. I'm still waiting for my eyes to arrive from America for him. I had a shipping notice, I think it was Monday, to say that they'd gone out, so hopefully next week sometime they'll arrive. And that's all I've got on the needles at the moment. Finished objects. I finished my Hermione's Everyday Socks. Yay, I've got a pair. And I made myself sock blockers, as you can see, which were really expensive, really cardboard boxes, but who cares, they work. So fabulous. I found a tutorial online. I think it was from a blog. I googled how to make sock blockers, and I think that the blog was called Eskimimi Makes, and it took you through how to make sock blockers to your size. Hello.
Why do you move this?
I moved this because I'm recording my podcast. Do you want to come and say hello? And then you'll have to go and you'll have to go back downstairs then to Daddy.
This.
It's my podcast. I'm saying hello to everybody. Can you wave and say hi? No? Are you shy? No. Would you like to show my little sock that I made? Can you hold it up? There we go. Good girl.
And the big sock?
I've done the big socks. I've shown them the big socks.
Really?
Yeah.
Can I show the other little sock?
No, that's not finished yet. I haven't woven the ends in yet. Yeah, show them the little sock again. And that's the same wool, but I did a mini sock, which is going to be part of a sock garland. Right, Erin, you need to wave bye-bye and go back downstairs to Daddy, okay? You're waving your boxes of cereal. Good girl. Alright. Go downstairs, sweetheart.
Mum, I'm playing.
Sorry about that. Where was I? One of these days I'll be able to do it in one take. She'd crept off. My husband's supposed to be keeping her downstairs, but she'd snuck up the stairs and come to find me. So she showed you my mini sock. She's been loving this. She's been wandering around with it most of the week. So, yeah, right, where am I? Let me look at my notes. Finished objects. Dyeing. So, I told you about my Wonderwall trip. I might have been a little bit obsessed about that. And I finally this week dyed up some of the John Arbon fibre that I got. And now I need to decide what to do with it. Well, obviously spin it, but I mean I need to decide which one to spin first. So I've got a big pile here, so I'll show you it in order, just top to bottom. This one is alpaca, polwarth and merino dahl, and I just overdyed it red and a little bit of purple, and it's not really, it's coming out a bit lighter than it is. Oh, yeah, that's better back here. So it's got some brown, it was a cream and brown fibre to start off with, and I thought that would make a really interesting effect if I dyed it. So I've dyed it red, and there was some purple in it, but I can't see any the way that I've plaited it up here. So I'm hoping to, I think it'll just make a really nice effect. Right, next is some superfine alpaca. No, it isn't, it's Alpaca Supreme. I'm really not doing well today. I'm really sorry. Alpaca Supreme. I'll hold that back here as well. Yeah, that's better. And that's 40% alpaca, 40% merino and 20% silk. And it's so strokeable. And there's 100 grams of that. I've got 300 grams of the other one, but I only dyed 100 grams up. And then I had 200 grams of Falkland Merino, because I think this might become a staple in my shop. And I decided to dye it all up, and I love it. I love it so much. So I've got magenta and turquoise, and I've got some purple mixing in with the turquoise and everything. Can you hear Erin singing? She's Frozen obsessed, and she's running around singing Let It Go. This is not going well. I think in future I'm going to try and podcast when she's asleep, because it's so off-putting. This is going to be an incredibly short podcast. I'm just going to rattle through it all and I'll be gone. Another thing I dyed, which isn't a John Arbon fibre, but my friend Ellie, hi Ellie, gave me some Corriedale fibre a little while ago, and so I threw that in the dye pot as well. And so I've gone with reds and purples again. I seem to be on a bit of a red spree this week, but yeah, so, and that's really cushy. So Corriedale, that's another fibre that I haven't spun before. It's another first. I've never spun alpaca, I've never spun merino dahl. Yeah, so it's going to be good. But I need to decide which one of the 3 John Arbon fibres to spin, so that I can take it down to the mill open day next week, which I'll talk a little bit more about when I talk about my plans. So they're my finished objects. My acquisitions is the next subject, and I've got a few this week. Somebody on Instagram, sorry, she's singing again. Somebody on Instagram was having a de-stash, and I fancied a couple of the yarns, so I got them. I got 5 of this one, which is Mirasol Hacho, and it's 100% hand-dyed merino wool, and they're 50 gram skeins, and I think it's a DK or a sport weight. It looks kind of like a thin DK weight, I suppose. But this, and I can say this because he doesn't watch the podcast so he won't know, this is going to be a hat for my husband, ready for next autumn and winter. And maybe hats for my sons as well, it depends, because I have got 5 of them, and there's 137 yards to each skein, so I'd have enough for a hat for each of them. But I might decide to do a hat and a cowl or something like that, maybe a handbrake cowl. If you haven't bought the handbrake cowl yet by Dan and Kay Jones, it's £1 on Ravelry, and the whole of that £1 goes to cancer research, and they've got £900 so far, which is fantastic. But he would love, Dan said on the podcast today, that they would love to get to £1,500 by their next podcast, and I think they podcast about fortnightly or every 3 weeks. So if you haven't bought it yet, go and get it, give it to somebody else as a gift. It's a brilliant cause, and it's a really nice simple pattern as well. So yeah, so I might make another one with this, because the pattern would stand out a bit better with it being a nice even commercial yarn. The other yarn that I got from her is Colinette, which is another one I've never had before, even though it's made in Wales, dyed in Wales. I've seen it at loads of shows, but I've just never got around to dyeing it. So this is 220 metres to 100 grams. Now what's that? Is that sort of, that's about a double knit as well, isn't it? It looks heavier than a double knit, but this is going to be hats for me and Erin. So we'll all have nice new comfy hats for the winter, which is lovely. And then she threw in as well a little bit of fibre that she had knocking around, a little bit pink and a little bit of grey, blue-faced Leicester hand dyed fibre, which will just go into the stash, because I'm not quite sure what I'll do with that yet, but I might have something that's a little bit dull and I might want to put a bit of pink in, or maybe it's a bit too bright and I want to put a little bit of grey in to calm it down. And then finally, Happy Post arrived today, a new project bag. How awesome is this? It's by Starknits on Etsy, and I've got her card. Oh, excuse me. Starknits on Etsy, also known as Alina, also known as half of the Weasley Sisters from the Weasley Sisters podcast, which I've been watching for a couple of years now, and she showed her new fabric that she got from spoonflower.com on Instagram, and I pointed this one out and said, oh, could I have a little sock-sized project bag out of that? That would be amazing. And she said, yep, no problem, and made it up for a custom order for me. And look, on the inside, it's got Starry Night fabric, and then it's got pockets. Hang on. Pockets with sunflowers on, and then a little drawstring with a catch thing there, and it's got the little clip so I can clip it onto myself and knit and walk, or clip it onto my bag. So I think that my Jaywalkers need to go in there. So there we go. Haha. Thank you ever so much, Alina. I'm thrilled to bits with that bag. I'm going to go and Instagram it now after I've finished recording and let you know that it's got here safely. It's really fast as well. I'm sure I only had the shipping notice on Monday. Is it Monday? And it came today. So I squealed a little bit when that arrived. One final acquisition. It's not for me. Do you watch the Knitting Den podcast? It's a lovely podcast. A lady from the north of England. I'm not sure if it's Newcastle or Middlesbrough or Sunderland, up that way. And she moved out to America a fair few years ago. And she lives in Colorado now, and she does the Knitting Den podcast. And Denise collects Starbucks mugs from all the towns and countries where they've got their country on the side. And I have got for her Cardiff, and it's got Cardiff Castle. So that's the picture I showed you. Well, not that picture. That's the bit of Cardiff Castle that I showed you the picture of week before last. And then that's where Erin was running across that lawn there, in front of those buildings. And then it's got, I'm not sure why it's got a big wheel. We haven't got a big wheel, but that's sort of bits and pieces of the bay and that. We did have a big wheel, I suppose, a few years ago, but it was only for the summer, so somebody must have come and taken a picture. in the summer in the bay and thought, oh, they've got a big wheel, I'll put that in. So anyway, I need to get in touch with Denise now and arrange to send that to her to add to her collection, along with some Kit Kats. She loves Kit Kats, so I'll have to put some Kit Kats in for her as well. And that is all of my acquisitions for this week. I'm a bit dry, just let me have a mouthful of my tea. That's better. Maria, I'm using your mug. Yay! I use it all the time because it's quite a nice big mug. It gives you a nice big cup of tea. So, and it's got an owl on, so what's not to love? Plans. My plans are to go to the John Arbon Mill Open Weekend, which is next weekend. My dad's volunteered to drive me down. He's got a new camera that he wants to try out, so I think he's going to take the opportunity to take some pictures of the mill machinery and maybe some scenery en route. I've been promised bacon sandwiches and cups of tea halfway there as well, so that'll be epic. And then John and Juliet and all the people at the mill are promising tea and cake when we get there. So it sounds like it could be quite a good day. Tea, cake, yarn, fibre, and I'll take knitting. Brilliant. So that's going to be great for next week. Crafting wise, I have to crack on with my spinning so that I can spin up some John Arbon fibre to take with me. Ideally, I would love to be able to spin up some of the fibre, knit a bonbon bunny out of it and take the bunny with me. I think that would be perfect, but I'm not quite sure if I'll have enough time to do that. Depends how quickly I get to the spinning, but as long as I've got the actual yarn spun, that's the main thing. What else? Oh, I'd like to do a second bonbon bunny because Erin has asked if I'll make one for her. So I'm probably going to end up knitting about 6 of them because I think my nieces will probably like them. I'd like to knit one for my new godson, who officially becomes my godson tomorrow because his christening is tomorrow. And his mum and dad are Cardiff City Football Club fans and their colours are blue, so I might have to knit him a blue bonbon bunny. He's, what is he now, 5 months old, and he's the smiliest little boy you've ever seen. He's the biggest flirt. He's just gorgeous. So I'll ask his mum and see if I can get a picture of me and him tomorrow at the christening to show you on my next podcast. Oh, he's just gorgeous. He's very knit worthy. I'm going to have to be knitting him lots of jumpers and hats and mittens and things through the next few winters. Knitting wise myself, I want to carry on with my Jaywalker socks, although I might slow down on them a bit and save them because they'll be good car knitting for next weekend for going down to Devon. So I might put those to one side. And then finish the bonbon bunny, as I said. I want to make a start on my Tonks Togs jumper. So I need to glance over the pattern. I've got the needles and the wool already. I just need to work out how much to cast on and really get stuck into that. So when I've got an hour to spare to just sit down and concentrate on that, I can have a go at that. Shop news. I have finally photographed all those stitch markers I showed you last week, and I'll be listing them. They should be up in the shop by the time this podcast goes live. I also finished winding my mini skeins, all those skeins of yarn I showed you last weekend. I think I wound 175 mini skeins, so they are all up in the shop now as well. I'm going to be putting them live before this podcast goes up. So they're all available. There's 7 different sets of colours, and they'd be great for sock yarn blankets or some of the shawls where you use lots and lots of colours, or multicoloured socks, or swaps, or little presents. Loads of things that they're nice for, and I've got some nice colours in there as well. One of the colours is my Fat Fibre Club contribution for May, so it's a sneak preview, so if you can see that, you'll see what I'm sending in for May. So that's the updates in the shop, and then we're on to the last section, which is loose ends. So I haven't been out and about much this week. I've been feeling a little bit off colour. I think I've had a sinus infection or something because I've just had pain all on this side of my face, but it seems to be easing up a lot, and I've been really tired as well, so that's why I haven't knitted as much as I thought I had. I think I've been resting more than I thought. But we did go out for a walk to Roath Park last weekend, which is a local park with a lake. You'll have seen some of the pictures. I'll either have put them in at the beginning of the podcast or I'll put them in at the end. I'm not quite sure which way around I'm going to do it yet. It's a beautiful place, and at the moment it's absolutely teeming with birds. I mean, it's always busy, but it seems to be even busier at the moment. Lots of nests around, swans on their nests, so hopefully there'll be some cygnets down there soon, and moorhens on their heaped up nests that they build in the water. It was quite sad though. There was one moorhen's nest that we saw, and I took a picture of it, but I don't know if you can see. And as we were watching it, so the male moorhen, what is the name for a male moorhen? Because he can't be a hen. Anyway, male moorhen swam out with a crisp packet in his beak and handed it up, or with his beak, you know, handed it up to the lady moorhen in the nest, who took it from him and tucked it in around her, and she got about 4 crisp packets all around the outside of her nest as part of her nest, and I thought that was quite sad. It sort of shows the state of the city when you got moorhens making nests with rubbish. But it was just a bit bizarre. And then the only other thing I was going to talk about was fitness. There's been a few knitters on Instagram using the hashtag #KnittersGettingFitter. Obi-Wan Knitter from the Bakery Bears, Little Yellow Uke, and Tilly Trout, I've noticed, are all getting their running shoes on and going out and getting a bit fitter. I really want to start doing something, but I really need to be motivated to do something, and that's where I'm struggling at the moment. So my husband says he's going to start throwing me out the door when he gets home, and I have to go out and do something. I'm not sure how well that will work, because anybody that knows the both of us knows that I don't really do as I'm told when it comes to my husband, so we'll have to see. But if anybody has any motivational thoughts that they'd like to pass on to me to get me out and exercising, that would be great, because I think that would probably help with the general feeling slightly under par. If I was a bit fitter, a bit more active, I'd probably be able to throw off the little coughs and sniffles quicker than I do already. And that's about it really. I can't think of anything else I wanted to tell you, but I wanted to do a podcast today because I knew I'd have a lot to tell you after I'd been on my trip down to John Arbon's mill next weekend, and I didn't want to do a massive podcast next weekend. So, with Erin kicking off in the background, I will say goodbye. Thank you very much for watching me again. You can, as I've mentioned, find me on Ravelry, WordPress, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter now, and Etsy. All of those, apart from Ravelry, I'm Owl About Yarn. On Ravelry I'm Genster79. I will be having a giveaway on Instagram when I reach 500 followers. I think I'm at 470 something now, so that's not far off. So if you're not following me on Instagram already, please do. And there will be yarn and a set of coordinating stitch markers which I made this morning, which I will be offering as a giveaway prize. So I will see you next week. Happy knitting, happy crocheting, happy spinning, happy crafting, happy running if you're a knitter getting fitter, and I'll see you soon. Bye!